Immigration Minister Martin Bødskov warns that mass immigration is going to break Europe. Foreign Minister Løkke walks a tightrope on Greenland and the United States, and anonymous party insiders for Socialdemokratiet warn that the party isn't looking seriously enough at the poor election results earlier this year. It's week 35. I'm Amos Miller with the Danish Press Review. As the blue bloc smells blood in the water, Socialdemokratiet try their hardest to sound like a national conservative party on immigration, particularly as their government partners aren't interested in further restricting immigration rules. In this Wednesday's Berlingske, an interview with Immigration Minister Martin Bødskov after his 5-country tour, he comes with a grave threat. Mass migration will break Europe. Mads Isaksen isn't so convinced. Bødskov is operating between a political rock and a hard place. On the one side, the stricter immigration rules his party has instituted under Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen have led to great success and 3 consecutive governments. However, on the other side, the current partners in this third government are less interested in tightening immigration rules. That's why the minister, who served as the business minister in the previous government, is ringing the alarm bells on immigration to make sure the voters still know that Socialdemokratiet is tough on migration, even if they can't show it like they used to. Mass migration is on its way to breaking us. That is the actual point. In the last few years, thousands upon thousands of illegal immigrants have come to Europe. That stresses Europe's economies. That stresses Europe's cohesiveness. Isaksen presses Bødskov. International workers accounted for 12% of Denmark's GDP, 361 billion kroner in 2024. He further pushes Bødskov on the dramatic fall in irregular immigration in Europe in the previous few years. What is it that you have seen in the 5 core countries that has led you to say that Europe is on its way to break? Well, it's that it's continuing, offers Bødskov. It's not actually. When you look at the numbers, they show a marked decline in illegal immigration in Europe. That which is happening in Spain is an example that it's still happening. Isaksen goes on to point out that the episode in Sveta, which Bødskov is referring to, was swiftly resolved, and few of the irregular migrants were granted the ability to stay. Still, Bødskov sees the event as reason enough to argue for greater restrictions and for a hastening of the Socialdemokratiet plan to house asylum seekers in third countries, such as Rwanda, far from Danish soil. Foreign Minister Løkke is in New York this week at the UN, as Denmark chairs the Security Council. Ditte Offersen Lynge, American correspondent for Kristeligt Dagblad, caught up with him 7 months after his meeting with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio about America's ambition to annex Greenland. We don't have any naive expectations on anything other that, in his, President Trump's, eyes, it would be the very best if the USA would just become larger. And that is, of course, a vision we don't share. It also makes me very happy that it isn't shared in the United States. Rasmussen has been the political point person in the conflict which started in 2019 but was brought back late last year, in which U.S. President Donald Trump seeks to annex Greenland, an autonomous territory in the Kingdom of Denmark and a NATO ally. Rasmussen doesn't believe the threat from the United States is over. He confirmed that talks have continued between the 2 states but remained largely quiet about the content of those meetings. There have been more meetings. It's a work in progress. This comes at the same time in which Denmark has been criticized by Greenland for not acting quickly enough in their plans to secure the Arctic. On Sunday, Greenland's Prime Minister Jens Nielsen criticized the slow pace of a plan to replace aging patrol ships in the Arctic around Greenland. It's not satisfactory. Rasmussen knows he walks a fine line in defending Greenland from Trump's territorial ambition while also ensuring security in the Arctic and Europe. On the one side, we have an American president that has signaled, unless he gets it all, he won't let it go. And at the same time, we've got NATO that is stepping up, and the U.S. is also a part of that. That is exactly that which leaves us with a bit of hope that this whole thing can land just right. But I can't make any guarantees. And finally, a piece in Børsen, where Nicholas Stig Nielsen speaks with some anonymous sources inside Socialdemokratiet who are worried that the party hasn't internalized their historically poor showing in this year's Folketing election back in March. S sources wonder, we're pretending we won. While Socialdemokratiet enjoyed leading their third government in a row with Mette Frederiksen at the helm, the party also experienced its worst showing in 123 years at the Folketing election in March. Yet some in the party worry that not enough attention is being paid to that poor result, because it still ended up with another term in government. The autopsy itself hasn't happened because we lost the election, but pretend like we won. The source's concerns stem from a parliamentary party which seems less interested in the next fight and more interested in seeing Mette Frederiksen off stage. We obviously know she's departing. Her whole system is departing. Her words don't mean as much. Sometimes you just think that those in the cabinet think, let's just bide our time. That's all for our time here in week 35. See you next week.